Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Whitney, and this is my Educated Citizen Portfolio. So, the topic I chose is access to prenatal care or lack of access. And the reason I chose this topic is because I find prenatal care to be extremely important to women during their pregnancy. It not only can affect the health of the woman and her baby during her pregnancy, but also thereafter. It can affect her outcomes. Um, Normally, they're negative if she's not receiving prenatal care throughout her pregnancy. And my personal connection to this issue, I'm pregnant. I'm currently pregnant, and I have had the privilege to be able to access prenatal care throughout my pregnancy. I've been able to go to my doctor's appointments, have all the proper ultrasounds and tests and scans, and I can't imagine not being able to do that, especially for a first time mom. And not that, it makes any difference whether you've had kids or not, but I guess for me, I I just couldn't imagine it. I know nothing about what to expect. And so for other women out there who don't know what to expect and then not having um, access to prenatal care or that peace of mind and knowing what's going on with their body or their baby, my heart goes out to them. So that was a big push of me um, choosing this topic. So, for my effective communicator, my first experience, I traveled to Germany uh, prior to my nursing career, starting my nursing career. I was a German major, and part of my degree, I had to go travel to Germany for a semester and live in Germany. And it was a sink or swim situation, to put it simply. Um, I lived on my own. I had to navigate where I was going on my own. I had to get to school, back home, to the grocery store, all by myself. And it was a lot. I thought I knew German well. Turns out I feel like I didn't know it that well once I got there. So it was a bit overwhelming, but I made it, obviously. Um, and what I learned about myself while I was there, it really pushed me to do things on my own. When I traveled solo, I was forced to do these things on my own with no resource, I guess, or I should say English resource to help me through this or someone to go through this with me. And so it really pushed me into these uncomfortable situations that I had to face because I had no other choice. And how I can address this to my issue, I feel like I would be a good voice for my patients when they're in these uncomfortable situations or if they're facing barriers to access to prenatal care. I could be a good advocate for them in trying to face those barriers and overcome those barriers so they can access prenatal care. So, for my second experience being an effective communicator, I was on a clinical rotation on a med surg floor, and there was a patient there who spoke German. He wasn't my patient, but a nurse was trying to find someone if they spoke German could try understand what he was saying, and I did. Though I was very rusty, I tried to go and talk to the patient, and he actually spoke a different dialect of German than what I learned. So it was kind of rough, kind of rough trying to figure out what each other was saying. But eventually, uh, I figured out what he was trying to tell the nurse, and so I relayed the message, and they were able to move forward. Um, However, it was awkward and uncomfortable just because we were both. It's almost like he was speaking a different language to me, throwing in some German words that I did know. So it was um, it was a little awkward, but we got through it. And what I learned from this experience and how I can apply this to my issue, um, I think it helped since I had been in these awkward, uncomfortable situations many times when I lived in Germany. I was able to stay calm and patient, um, kind of get past that. And the patient was very sweet and understanding. And I think having those characteristics can help when you're in uncomfortable situations regarding communication, whether it be language barriers or not. Um, and just using resources around you. There was the Marty machine, but we figured it out without it. And just knowing cultural competence, um, not continuing to talk English to someone who doesn't understand English. And I think the patient really appreciated, even though I didn't speak the dialect, he really appreciated me attempting to try and understand him and see where he's coming from. And I think having those characteristics and those traits and just remembering cultural competence can really make a big difference for the patient and how they feel. So, for my second experience being a reflective individual, I titled this Life Milestones um, because it's very, very accurate. I, um, I found out I was pregnant this year, and then I got married, planned a wedding in 6 weeks, and I am in my last semester of nursing school, and the baby is due before graduation. So, a lot going on in my life, and it was very difficult to put school as a priority with everything else going on. Um, I'll be quite honest, I don't have a lot of desire to focus on school stuff right now when I'm trying to plan for a newborn. I feel a little scatterbrained, but it's something I have to do if I want to graduate and help pay the bills to take care of my child. So um, it's been difficult, but I started taking it just one day at a time, and right now I'm doing it like a week at a time because I'm trying to work ahead. But it was very challenging for me to change my mindset and focus on what my priorities need to be, um, whether I liked it or not. And how I can apply this to my issue and my patients is I know that everything they're experiencing is probably very overwhelming and they're not really sure where to start. And I can help organize what they want, what is a priority, what can wait till later, and kind of narrow down, I guess, the thinking of the things that need to be done. And I think if we can accomplish that, they'd feel a lot better. Um, it's a lot easier said than done, but I think I could be helpful in that area. For my second experience of being a reflective individual, um, this experience was a little different. It was with my sister, and long story short, she was dating a guy that I didn't care for. Um, my family didn't care for either. And I'm the oldest of three, and so I feel a little protective of my younger siblings. And of course, she didn't see the red flags at the time. No one ever does. Um, until one day she was asking me for advice, and I kind of approached the situation with a more, uh, I guess, logical point of view instead of being emotional about the question she was asking because it was frustrating seeing her with someone that wasn't treating her right. I tried to reason with her like the pros and cons, and I was firm but gentle, about the way I communicated about uh, the question she was asking. And not at the time, but eventually she ended up breaking up with him, which I was happy about, but kind of beside the point. My sister was able to understand where I was coming from because I was direct and I was clear, but I was also gentle about the way I was communicating. And I think how I can apply this to my issue of access to prenatal care with my patients is help them be a voice for themselves, and if they can address issues that are kind of wishy-washy or uncomfortable, if they can be direct and firm and clear, it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for interpretation, and um, the medical staff like know what they want, and um, everything's just runs more smoothly when there's direct communication and they know what they want for themselves and they know what they want for their baby. So, for my first experience as a change agent, I had this experience when I was advocating for myself prior to applying to a job. Um, I have had my eye on the NICU since I started nursing school, and I have been interested in that department. Um, I was told it's a very coveted department and it's hard for new grads to get hired on, and just new grads to get the job that we want in general. Uh, the first time, anyways, can be kind of difficult. So I took it upon myself. I got a hold of the service leader and sent her an email prior to sending in my resume and applying for this job. Um, and I was just saying, hey, this is my name, just letting you know I'm going to apply for this job. And I also added if they had any pull in uh, students precepting there, or if they had any say in that decision making. I gave her my instructor's contact information and said, should you feel so inclined, uh, this is this is who you need to contact. And I didn't really expect a response, but they emailed me back and said, yeah, we'll look for your resume, we'll set up an interview. And so I was ecstatic. I didn't really expect that. And then lo and behold, I got on there to precept, and I'm currently still precepting on the NICU. And I got an interview, and just yesterday I got offered the job. So I will be working on the NICU when I graduate, and pass boards. So I'm still very excited about it. Um, so that was a whole experience, and what I learned from this and how I can apply this to my my public issue is just taking charge of a situation. I feel like I was a little bit aggressive with the situation too, and kind of just helping teach my patients not only to like be an advocate for themselves, but also maybe look how to go about things in a different direction. Um, I had never emailed anyone before I sent a resume in for a job, so I guess thinking outside the box and how that can obviously turn into positive outcomes. For my second experience being a change agent, I ended up fainting at clinical, and it was very embarrassing and humiliating. But my clinical instructor told me if we aren't uncomfortable, we aren't growing. And she was very, very right. I had to push past that situation, and applying this to my patients, if I can help them push past uncomfortable situations and seeing the positive and making positive changes, I think that can be very beneficial. In conclusion, to becoming an educated citizen and completing these three goals, I feel better prepared to not only address my public issue, but also issues I may face as a nurse and also in my personal life. And I feel like this experience has been overall positive and will help me in the future. Thank you for listening.